When a man is contemplating whether to divorce his wife, he is faced with a choice between bad and worse. What's worse, cutting off a hand or a foot? Of course, both are undesirable. In any relationship, chaos is caused by a disruption in the balance of values. The imbalance between strictness and excessive indulgence is like a flower. If you deprive it of water, it wilts. If you overwater it, it rots. A woman doesn't become unreasonable in a day. This process is always stretched out over time and space and consists of many episodes. First, she pinched you, then pushed you, then hit you, and only after this process did she hit you much harder and more damagingly. And only at this last stage did you wake up and realize that something is not right in your relationship. Respect. A woman's respect for a man is very volatile and is not dependent on your objective indicators. It doesn't depend on how attractive you are, how smart you are, how much material resources you have, what kind of life achievements you have, how many things you've managed to do for her, and so on. It doesn't depend on these or similar things at all. None of this will help you because a woman is dominated by her limbic system, her already established model of emotional perception and behavior. That's exactly why she perceives and evaluates events, the environment, and you through her already established emotional prism. I want, I don't want, I love, I don't love. And what do I feel? Oh, I think I'm confused about my feelings. Recently I had a similar situation. A man, quite respected by society, approached me. His wife was chasing him around the house with a slipper like a cockroach. A little later, she ran off with some useless guy. She sold all the gold and good things her husband had given her and took that useless guy to the sea for a vacation. Later, she told her now ex-husband not to call her so that the guy wouldn't be upset. The conclusion from this is that a woman doesn't care who you are. The question is, what position do you place yourself in within your relationship? Justice. To take the right position in a relationship and be respected by a woman, you don't need to turn into an aggressive Caucasian shepherd on guard. In any disagreement or conflict with a woman, the first thing needed is to think. Think about what the correct reaction from your side would be now. For example, if your wife is already pale from insomnia and the children are running around calling for their mother all day, while she is simultaneously washing clothes, cleaning the house, preparing food, and stressed. If in this situation she suddenly speaks to you a little harshly, punishing her for it would not be appropriate. Most likely, she has already exhausted her nervous resources. I think this should be understandable anyway, but for some reason, it's not clear to many. It's simply foolishness and stupidity to demand from a person what they cannot handle. It's like scolding your 8-year-old child for managing only 5 push-ups instead of 10. It's simply foolish. If a woman is genuinely trying, and this is a very important point, if she is trying and struggling, it makes sense to create conditions that reduce her stress level. Conclusion. Real respect is deserved and earned by someone who is objectively and justly strict, not selfishly or superficially strict. Influence. Unfortunately, many think that being strict with a woman means constantly making demands with a stern face. That is not strictness, that is the behavior of a grumpy and ignorant man. To be truly strict, you must first be much more mature and grown than the woman. You should be able to help her develop the right skills to become better. In some things, you should be an example for her. Sometimes you need to boost her motivation and give her the right direction. Consequently, punishment is the last thing to consider. If you decide to forbid her something, and this might be entirely fair, you should offer an alternative option. Your behavior model should be such that it is beneficial for the woman when she behaves well, because 90% of adults are like little children. A child learns when they are interested, when they feel good and comfortable. If all this doesn't work and the situation gets out of hand, then you can, and are obliged to, put the child in the corner, because that is also part of the teaching and upbringing process. But that should not be a priority. Strictness. Why is strictness necessary? Because every person, and I want to emphasize here, every person has a tendency towards ingratitude, devaluation, resentment, and lack of restraint. We, mere mortals, are crazy about self-pity. There is an immoral tumor in all of us that periodically needs cleansing for prophylactic purposes. If we don't cleanse ourselves periodically, it will inevitably metastasize and take over. So, if today your wife judges the neighbors, tomorrow she will judge you. If today she justifies her friend's infidelity, tomorrow she will find justification for cheating on you. If today she is ambitious about her career at any cost, tomorrow she will be ambitious about leading the relationship. If today she likes provocative clothing and showcasing herself on Instagram, tomorrow she will start flirting with someone. If today she sulks at her mother for some nonsense and turns off her phone, tomorrow she will do the same to you. If today she absorbs some nonsensical feminine content from the internet, tomorrow she will decide to live for herself. If today she verbally insults you, tomorrow she will do it through her behavior and actions. Therefore, this and similar moral decay should be noticed and cut off in time before it metastasizes. This is what you need to pay attention to in a timely manner, and you must cut calmly, beautifully, wisely, and systematically. Manipulation. The most brutal female manipulation is when a woman goes out into the yard, approaches that significant tree you are nurturing, which symbolizes your relationship. On one branch are your children, on another are your sweet memories, and on the third is your future. Suddenly she starts shaking this tree. Then she takes an axe and swings it around the bushes. Meanwhile, she observes your reaction. This is the situation when a woman begins behaviors aimed at breaking up the relationship. In this situation, you don't have the headspace for thinking and philosophizing. You suddenly run into the yard and stand between the axe and the tree. You say, "Stop, calm down, there's no need, I surrender." That's it. With this, the woman gains leverage over you. She thinks, "From today, I will do whatever I want, and if he starts arguing with me, I'll take the axe again and go to the tree." In such a situation, you should simply stand by the window with popcorn in hand and calmly watch her staged scenario, as if it doesn't bother you much. After a while, you should approach and say, "Listen, now stop all this. Otherwise, you're torturing yourself for nothing. Calm down, or else I'll take that tree and uproot it completely." Education. A woman and a man are continuously engaged in educating each other. Whether they want it or not, whether they are aware of it or not, whether they can do it or not, it doesn't matter. Every response, intonation, smile, silence, request, demand, or ignore is an act of influence on a person. The whole complexity lies in the fact that 90% of people are children in an adult's body. What does a child want? To impress a strict parent, to have their head patted. Men try to impress demanding women, while women try to impress selfish and indifferent men. That's all there is to it. But you are already a big boy, and you carry a much heavier burden, a lot more responsibility. Your actions and decisions determine what the close person to you will become. Responsibility. A strong position is not a paper crown on your head. First and foremost, it is the responsibility for what happens in your relationship. Therefore, you must stop doing nothing in the hope of a positive future and take action. If a woman has started spiritual degradation, it is your duty to help her and bring her out of that state. Ideally, she is now stuck up to her ears in a swamp and is struggling. The so-called progressive society around you tells you that you must respect her personal boundaries. Don't interfere with her free will, don't restrict her, and don't be toxic. If you love her, you must respect her choice, they will say. What nonsense is that, really? Whoever says that has something other than a brain in their head. So, a person is stuck in a swamp, drowning, and you are supposed to ask them, "Dear, I want to help you, but I don't want to violate your personal space, so will you allow me to help you?" Or when a drunk person is climbing through a window, you don't give them permission. He will definitely oppose you. You might even have to fight until he sobers up. And while he's drunk, he won't thank you at that moment. On the contrary, he'll say you're hindering him, that he plans to fly away like a swallow. The same applies to women. Until she spiritually sobers up, you shouldn't expect a positive reaction. Misinformation. Most modern psychologists will tell you that prohibitions, strictness, and distancing in a relationship are very toxic and poisonous reactions on your part. They'll say you should act ecologically. For example, if your wife goes to the sea with her friends for a vacation, you should just sit down and calmly tell her about your discomfort, how much it hurts and affects you. The absurdity lies in the fact that they seriously believe this will work. In reality, after a couple of drinks on the beach with those same friends, your pain doesn't matter to her at all. Modern psychology doesn't view the family as established, solid and permanent. They don't have any mechanism for that. For example, a person either grows or degrades. There's no third option. And when some aunt, who has been divorced twice, and only God knows what misfortunes occur in her third marriage, tells your wife to accept herself as she is, she's offering her degradation. If I'm content with who I am today, then I won't do anything to be better tomorrow. Resentment. If you realize that your wife's complaints about you are objective and real, then there's no point in arguing the opposite. Consequently, there's no need for justification or especially expressing aggression. You just need to shift the focus. You should say, listen, if you constantly intend to recall this unpleasant episode of our relationship and fill yourself with negativity, it won't bring us any good results. I don't want us to have a notebook of hatred where we record and keep each other's mistakes. So if you're interested in solving this problem, then I'm waiting for a proposal from you. But if you have no proposal to solve this problem and just want to fight, then I can't help you. If after this, the woman continues with inappropriate behavior and conflict, simply go and take care of your own business. There's no need to pay attention to her anymore. Our goal is to remove and discard this stuck record that repeats the same thing. By doing this, you give your wife direction. You ignore the capricious child in her and try to awaken the adult who doesn't just want to fight and throw tantrums, but wants to solve the problem. Under no circumstances should you feed that childish resentment in a woman. Fighting, apologizing, negotiating, bargaining, and any similar behavior feeds and further awakens the capricious child in her, which negatively affects the relationship. Lies. How a normal relationship often converts into a problematic one. Imagine that you and your wife are tasked with carrying a heavy burden. Initially, the weight is split 50-50. After some time, the woman puts in less effort into the relationship. Consequently, gradually, you end up carrying 60% of the shared burden, then 70, then 80, then 90. By now, all your tendons and muscles are strained to maintain the relationship.